That's good. That's good. That's good. Who's first in the building tonight? Yeah. The official first. It's probably by the looks of it, it looks like maybe journeys maybe had the official first link, but Grace, always, friendly face, always happy to see you. What's going on, Grace, the accountant? Hey, how you doing, brother? Yeah.
Oh man, my mic was muted at first. Dang it! I hate that. There's so many checklist things that I like. I'm like I got to do this, I got to do that, and that's one of the things I forgot. So what's going on, everybody? I hope you had a great week. Sorry about the unmuted me or the muted me, I should say, but yeah, it's another show, another week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another show, another week. Um, just like I was saying, my week has been, it was a short week for me, due to the holiday. You guys know, and if you didn't know, I'm an active duty service member by trade. I'm an explosive ordnance disposal technician. I've been doing that for 8 years, actually. I've been in the military for 15 years. My first MOS was a medical laboratory specialist. And then I shifted over to explosive ordnance disposal because I wanted something a little bit more exciting, if you dig what I'm saying. But yeah, so we had a 4-day weekend, which means today I was off. I kind of talked myself into doing like 4 different videos today last night during my live when I had a guest on my show. So I recorded a few videos, few clips to a beginning of some videos, and really just relaxed and try to recharge, just like you said. I was going to go on a nice little run, but I ran yesterday, so I took a knee today. I see Mark's in the building. What's up, Mark? What's going on, Cam from Elevated Lawnscapes? I see Nate's in here from Pacific Northwest Lake House Lawn Care. Dude, you have a super cool lawn right by the lake. That's dope. And Left Tool's in the building. Left Tool, you should have something arriving in the mail from me really soon. Your brother-in-law is an EOD specialist? Really? That's interesting. Cool. I mean, is he Army, Navy, or Air Force? I might know him. I might know him. It's a very small community. I might know him.
So do you run every week, or what's your what?
Yeah. So if I'm being honest, I literally just got back to running on a regular schedule. I had a bulging disc for a little while. Well, I still have the bulging disc, but I had to go to physical therapy, visit chiropractor, get myself back together so I can get back to my regular running routines. But ideally, yes, we run at least 2 to 3 times a week, anywhere from 6 to 12 miles, depending on how motivated I am or how motivated the leadership that's in charge of me making me run, but how motivated they are. But yeah, running is it's one of the things that we have to do in our PT test that we have to do each year, twice a year. So we have to run. We have to run, and we're actually in the middle of transitioning to a new type of PT test. So the new PT test has a lot more intricate things that relate more to what we do when we're at war. So I think that's pretty cool, but they're fielding out very slow because, of course, the thing that shook the world, that's still kind of holding on to us here, even in the beginning of 2021, it slowed down a lot of the things that we used to do in big groups. So that's where we are
Well, I
right
don't know
now.
why I asked, do you run every week? Because that was a really dumb question. I meant to ask, do you run every day? Because I'm a former cross country runner, and my wife is too. So running every day is that's natural to me. So I don't. Sometimes when we get started on these podcasts, or these live streams, not. I know I've been doing it for this is the ninth show or whatever, but I still get a little jitters. I still got to work out the juices a little bit in the at the beginning, and I'm like paying attention to everything going on in the chat and make sure the show's going on. So I'm not always aware of like the things that I'm saying. So that was a really dumb question on my end.
There's no such thing as a dumb question. There are dumb
That's
answers, though.
true. Yeah.
I'll give you, I'll give you
So
that. But No, man. Yeah, I used to run every day. Back in the day when I used to be hunting for like that perfect PT score so I could be as competitive as possible with my peers. I'd say the easiest part on the PT test for me that came natural was push-ups. I can max my push-ups relatively easy. I'm usually done with them within the first minute or so. But when it comes to the run, that demands a certain amount of discipline that if you don't have, it'll just fall off for me specifically. And then sit-ups for some reason have never been my strong suit. I have abs, but sit-ups is a struggle. So I used to run every day, a lot of mileage on the knees, on the feet, and due to injuries that I've received over the past 15 years, it's not ideal for me to try to
I
run every
gotcha.
day. Got to reel it in.
Well, I wanted to jump in. Everybody, thank you for joining tonight. There's a lot of familiar faces. I think I see a few faces I have not seen before, so I appreciate you guys coming in. I got B Davis, Lawn Journeys, Elevated Lawnscapes, Landscape Lake House, Left Tool. I know there's so many more. The Lawn Analyst, and but if you haven't been on the show before, I keep this pretty casual. We're just hanging out here. We're talking lawn care. We try to keep it lawn care. And Rob is specifically he has a lot of experience in the garden area as well. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that and talk to him more about those types of things, since that's just something that us lawn care enthusiasts don't necessarily dabble in all that much, but there is a lot of close relationship there. But this isn't an interview style. This isn't a Q&A style. This is just us hanging out. I try to incorporate as much of the people in the chat as possible. Throw in a question if you have one, and we'll try to get to it. I do apologize if we miss it, because it's just sometimes difficult to keep up with the chat. So um,
Sure.
yeah, Mark's or not Mark. What? See, here's the jitters. I got to work it out. I don't know why I said Mark. Rob, you said, I know I've watched your stuff for a while. Your channel with lawn care and garden, like the what you do and why you do it, is really in the name of your channel with turf therapy. Because I know you've talked about it. I've seen you've been actually featured in some articles in your community, with what you do for, and what you're trying to help other people in the service, military and stuff like that. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit about like what got you into lawn care, and then what got you into doing it on YouTube?
Okay, yeah, for sure. A little background on me, like I already told you, I'm in the military. I've been in the military 15 years in May, and I really needed something that helped me unplug. For a long time in my life, it was always mission. It's like we got one mission, we do that mission. What's the next mission? Reset, refit, go at it, attack, kill again, reset, refit. That was my life, and I was pretty content with that. But somewhere along the way, I realized that this is going to come to an end. And the things that I experienced while I was deployed, although I thought didn't come back home with me, after about a while, I realized that it did. It changed the way that I interacted with people. It changed the way that I processed information. It changed the way that I processed stress. And then one day, there was about a year and a half ago, there was a big hole in the back of my yard. And every time the people who came through to cut the grass in this HOA type community, it was contracted out, they would hit this turn and it would just keep making the hole bigger and bigger. And my dogs, I have two little pups, little Yorkies that I picked up in Germany while I was stationed in Germany. They would play in these holes, right? So they get muddy and be in there eating the dirt. So I said, I'm going to fix this hole, stop cutting the grass, I'll take care of it. At the time, I did not intend to have the best lawn on the block. I just wanted to fix this hole. So when I went after trying to fix this hole, spending the whole day outside, being in the lawn, doing some lawn and landscape area beautification type stuff, I realized that all the noise that I usually deal with on a daily basis, with my mind constantly and consistently spinning, it all kind of just dulled out. And it was peaceful for me. I got home. I mean, I came in the house. I washed all the dirt off of me and cleaned my nails real well. Laid in the bed and had the most peaceful night of sleep that I'd had in years. You know, probably since I'd been a teenager. Peaceless night, no bad dreams, no night terrors, anything like that. So I kept at it, you know, and I just kept doing it. And along the way, my wife, a huge supporter of me and everything that I do. Special shout out to the missus. She actually kind of encouraged me. She saw that I watched a lot of lawn care YouTube videos. She knew that I had a passion for music. She knew that I was creative enough, and if I put my mind to it, I would be capable of producing content that people would probably enjoy. So, as a NCO, senior enlisted service member in the U.S. Army, I have made it my point in my career to express to my soldiers, anyone that I had underneath me, that there's no shame in getting help. There's no shame in seeking help. There's no shame in going to a psychiatrist to speak about the things that are stressing you. So I figured, why don't I take that and magnify that message and make that what my channel's about, since that's what I'm getting from it. So that's what I did. You know, I came up with a name that made sense with the help of my lovely mother, and then I branded it, and then I took it to YouTube just so I could share my message as far as what was happening with me and how much my life had changed and improved. Now, of course, the first channel I landed on was Alan Hayden Lawn Care Nut, and he really opened my eyes, and I love the way that he broke down and explained things to give you a solid foundation. And from there, it just took off, and you know, I ended up here today with you. You know, within what has it been, about 14, 15 months I've been on YouTube, and here we are today. So that's why I took my channel to YouTube, was honestly to just help people, and it was more specifically geared towards service members of any type of any of the branches. But later on, I realized that civilians suffer with PTSD just as much as service members. So since then, I've definitely
Sure.
opened it up.
Yeah, and I think I can't say I have a similar story, but in some regards it is a little similar because when I started my YouTube channel, I that was in the process of me trying to figure out a new career because the career I was currently in as an athletic trainer, I didn't like it. It was not working for me. It was starting to really uh, affect me personally, and not only me, but it was, when it starts affecting you and you have a family and a wife and kids, it starts to affect all of them. And I knew it was time for a change, and that's when I was. Lawn care had always been something that had brought me comfort and peace since I was a kid. It was something that, I remember doing when I was a kid with my mom. That's just a very great. I have so many good memories of working in the landscaping with my mom and helping her do things. I was as when I was old enough, I was always mowing the lawn. That was my responsibility, and there were days and weeks that I didn't want to go do it, just like any teenager or whatever. But I still enjoyed it. Like, it
Of
was still
course.
something I loved doing because I could see immediate gratification of the lawn didn't look good. It looked unkept, and as soon as I was done, it looked really good. It was something I was a little prideful of. I loved doing that, and so when I got to this point in my life with a career that I had spent, 6 years in college for and worked to get to where I thought I wanted to be, and then it ended up not being the career I wanted because when you're in college, you're like, this is what I want to do, but you can't imagine what your
Right.
life's going to be like and what your endeavors are going to be like when you're married and you have kids. Like, your priorities change
That's right.
drastically. They could stay the same for sure, but mine changed.
Right.
It was like 180. It was like, this is not for me. I need to get out of this. So I kind of used lawn care at that point in time to vent, to just relieve myself of any frustrations and those types of things that I had at a long day of work. And when we first bought our first house back in 2017, 2016, something like that, that was the first house you guys have seen
Hmm.
me create content at. I had never actually maintained a lawn. I've only mowed it from that point on. I didn't do any sort of fertilizing or anything like that as a kid. So I was learning from scratch from in a lot of different areas of lawn care, and that's when I found Alan. And I was also watching a lot of This Old House, Roger Cook. I was learning a lot from him as well, because I needed to do like a lot of overseeding and stuff in that lawn. Because I didn't. A lot of people never, or most people never saw what that lawn used to look like before I really did a heavy overseed and all that kind of stuff. But when I started doing that, that was just like, man, I really like this. Maybe this is something. Maybe this is something I'd start enjoying and just be another outlet for me to, you know, I don't know, find a little stress relief in those types of things. Matt Martin was another one. Ryan Knorr was another one that I like. They kind of inspired me to start doing something. And I never really. It's always been a hobby and still is a hobby of mine. I never like had plans to turn this into a business or anything like that. It was just kind of like, this is fun. I like doing it, and that's what I want it to always be. So
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I can completely relate. And this is how naive I was stepping into the lawn care community. I thought my story was super special. I thought I was one of the few guys that was out there in their lawn at the time, because lawn is my first love. As you know, I am now into gardening, and if you didn't know, I enjoy gardening just as much as I enjoy lawn care now. And I think there's a pocket where they can coexist happily if you're responsible, that is not highlighted enough, which is where I've taken that angle to make sure that I've merged them both together. But I thought that I was one of these unique people who was just seeking an immense amount of therapy, like literally repairing and getting that peace when they were out in the yard. And later I found that it was a lot of things. It was a lot of people out there that could relate to the message that I was sending. But I'd say tenfold, that is why I think my channel has been successful it has been this year, because it's a relatable message. It's a message that most people can get behind. It's something that most people can at least identify with, at least on the very surface, if not directly. There's someone in everyone's home, in everyone's life, that they know, that they find peace connecting with this thing we call Earth. Like Mark said right here, it's primal. It strikes a deep revolution. It strikes a deep evolutionary chord in us. Our ancestors had a very deep relationship with tending the earth. And Mark, like, you couldn't have said it better, waxing that poetic early in the day. Just letting us know, that's exactly, why most of us really enjoy that process. And what's this, lake house lawn care? Rob, your dahlias are awesome, man. I appreciate that. I really do. I Special thanks to Connor Ward. I didn't know what a dahlia was about 8 months ago until I saw Connor Ward like ranting and raving about these flowers, and I was like, that is gorgeous, that is beautiful. I'm like, yeah. He's like, isn't it beautiful? And I'm watching the video, like I'm talking to him, like, yeah, yeah, Connor, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Like I'm having a conversation with him, and immediately after that video, I don't remember which one it was, but I immediately went and I looked him up, and I ordered me some that same night. And I fell in love with them all over again this season, having them in my lawn. It was awesome. Yeah.
yeah, and the what you're talking about as far as like finding a relatable message, I like when I first started getting involved in YouTube and the lawn care community, to me that's what I thought, or not I thought, I still think that I think so many people in the community, it's not like, I think in the front end people are like, yeah, green grass stripes, and there may be just some of that, but I think there's such a deeper meaning for it with so many more people than actually say it, because you're making yourself a little bit more vulnerable by saying that, and it's difficult to be vulnerable, especially as a guy. Like, it's just, you don't want to say this is more to me in a more emotional way, maybe, if you want to say it that way,
Yeah.
because that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was at a stage of a little bit of depression when I first started lawn care stuff, when I was going through that career change, and it was I used it as something to help me, and then the community that I found with the lawn care stuff was much more than what I ever thought it could be, and I don't know, like that's what you're talking about is exactly what I've thought about since the first time I started making content and really watching Alan's stuff and a lot of other people's stuff because you can just see it in the comments. Like I don't know, like to me it's just like I could see it like they'd comment on it and it wasn't just like thanks for the great info. It was more like I don't know. There was just a much deeper meaning in people's comments because you could see it or like struck a chord with them in some form or fashion. And when Alan's just doing his goofy throw her down stuff, while that's all fun and games, he's
Yeah.
really touching a lot of people in many different ways that I don't think he really realizes. Maybe he does. But what you said was exactly right, and what Mark said from Lawn Creeps is was right on too. Man, I can't wait to have Mark on in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, he's a good guy, man. And yeah, like Alan, to your point, I sometimes don't think I maybe at this point in his life he really realizes the impact that he's had not only in his community, but in so many people's lives that aren't on YouTube as well. And I think that that realization came to him at some point along the way. But I have to imagine that although I know he stepped out to help people, I don't think he could have ever imagined what he ended up birthing 10 years down the road. And I got to give a special shout out to Left Tool. Left Tool, he said hanging out with two of my faves tonight. Life is good. Thanks guys. And he paid us. Where do you go where when someone pays you for hanging
Yeah,
out
thank
with
you, Left
them? You
Tool.
know what I
That
mean?
Aaron,
That's
that's I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, man.
yeah, I appreciate you just as much. And like I said, you should have something in the mail. Well, it's already in the mail. You should be receiving it really soon from from me here in the near future. I hope you like it. Pacific Northwest, yeah, Nate over at Pacific Northwest Lawns. Him and I, we dropped the same seed this year. I wonder how your DIY My Soil premium blend is doing right now up in the Pacific Northwest, but he's about to drop some dahlias in their lawn, in his lawn as well. And I want to circle back to something that you said, men making themselves vulnerable. And that's one thing that I aim to constantly do on my channel. One thing that I hopped on last year that if you were around last year, you would know, the Movember campaign.
Yep.
Right when I started my channel, the Movember campaign had kicked off. Lazy Lawns had put that together. It was an amazing campaign. Great stuff came out of it. A lot of great stories came out of it. But I have kind of tried to maintain that message on my channel, which where I don't mind allowing myself to be vulnerable, because I think one thing that we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot as far as a culture specific to American man culture is acting like we don't have feelings, right? Because I'm gonna tell you what happens when men act like they don't have feelings. Whenever we have in my experience, right? Have you ever, or I'll ask you, the audience as well. You guys, we're hardcore. We don't hurt, we don't cry. So every once in a while, my wife uses that against me, right? In the most, loving way. They forget that we have feelings because we are so caught up in making sure no one realizes we have feelings. We got to maintain this manly man type thing. And even within my family, we have a lot of aggressive, strong females in my family to where they will run over you as men if you don't kind of stand your ground. So I think it's important for us to normalize men having feelings. Like, we do have feelings, and it's okay you're not any less of a macho man. I love dahlias, I love flowers, and I take care of bombs. So convince me
And
that
I
you're more of
take
a man.
care of
You know
bombs.
what I mean? Like, and I take care of bombs. I will go, deadhead these dahlias and be in bliss while I'm doing it. And then I will take that long walk down to that thing that everyone ran and evacuated from. And I will strategically take that thing apart so everybody can return to their work or to their school or whatever it may be. So I think that's a very important thing that we do as men in this culture, as allowing yourself to be vulnerable every once in a while. If you think something's beautiful, say it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, say it's beautiful. It's okay. It's okay. And I missed it earlier. Left tool. I don't sing. I just love beats. Like I love beats, and I did, and I still can play the trumpet. That if you, I don't remember the name of the video, but I did a blooper last year where I'm like airplaying the trumpet. But if I wanted to play
I
it
used to
live, I
play the
could have.
French
But
horn.
that's what I do.
I played the French horn for about 4 years. Yeah, I
French
did
horn,
all
yeah.
throughout middle school and my freshman year of high school. And we actually, when I was in middle school, we went to what's called the Midwest. I believe it's called the Midwest Conference or something like that. It was up in Chicago where we were one of the few bands, middle school or high school bands that were invited up to Chicago. I didn't really know the meaning of it. It was supposedly a big deal, but I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I get to go to Chicago." When I was in middle school, and but yeah, I stopped
Right.
playing after freshman year because I wanted to pursue sports and cross country and track. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. What's that? Cam, you said you played the trumpet as well. Mark, you're taking off. Man, thank you for being here, Mark. I really appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to bring you back to the channel, brother. And that's right, Real Men Garden, hands down, for sure. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, guys. So for this year, I mean, what you got working on? What are your plans this spring, Ben? I mean, do you have I want to take a moment. I want to give you a round of applause. I think everyone in the chat right now should give Ben a round of applause for the lawn that he landed on this year, and it just completely tanked on him when he first got there. It was like riddled with all types of. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt your pain. But talk about finishing strong, bro. Talk about finishing strong. You reached out to who? Was it
yeah,
John Perry
I
who
reached out
got you
to
on track?
John Perry, Allen, and Matt Martin. Those were the three guys that really got me on track on what to do because I had, I'd kind of been following some of the preventative strategies with fungicides and those types of things, but I had never really dealt with like anything severe like it was this year. And I was really confused with the lawn this year because it started out like as spring started, it didn't really like green up like I had previously, you know, known with my other lawn because I didn't know what kind of fertilizer was put down in the years past and those types of things. And I would put fertilizer down. I'm like, it's getting green, but it's not reacting the way I knew it could react based on my previous experience at the other house. I was like, and I had already done a soil test and uh I knew the pH was really high and I didn't I knew the pH was important, but I didn't know really the effects that could have on growth and greening up and those types of things. And I reached out to all those three people and like, yeah, that's your problem. And I was like, they're
Right.
like, yeah, and I did some research before I reached out to them, and there is research on with high pH, your lawns or grass tends to look more yellow because it's not absorbing all the
Right.
nutrients it can because it's too basic, it's too alkaline for it to absorb those nutrients in the soil. And I was at a loss. I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And, it was riddled with fungus
Right.
and it was like starting to get into the really hot point. And I'm like, well, I know it looks like dollar spot. And Alan always says to really just, hammer it hard and push it out. But it's starting to get hot and I don't want to like encourage it and those types of things. So I was like, I don't know what to
Right.
do. And yeah, they helped. They were clutch. It was nothing I did. It was all them. All I did was follow their direction. And I was like, all right, well, it's fixed now. And I was really like, I was shocked. Like, I thought my recovery I was not going to see a real recovery until like fall. But when it recovered in summer, I was like,
Right.
holy crap. Like, this is awesome.
Right. I was amazed just as much as you were. I was like, I can't believe he bounced back that strong. So is this something that they said that you need to keep your eye on for the next year or so? Because I know with certain diseases, fungus, like some funguses can linger in that soil for quite a while until things kind of regulate themselves off. Well, I'm curious to what kind of
So I
advice they
still want to
gave you.
reach back out to Matt and talk to him more about what
Mhm.
he thinks my preventative strategies should be for this coming spring based on what I've dealt with. And I want to get my
Right,
soil test back before I talk to him so we can look at what's going on with the pH because I'm hoping the pH has come down to some extent. I know I'll probably still need to be addressing that this coming year because I know it can take a good amount of time to lower pH because lowering pH can be much more difficult than it can be to raise pH if I am understanding that correctly. I'm no professional here. So
right.
but I need to talk to him about what I need to do and just research a little bit more to figure out what I'm what preventative strategies I need to take. But we'll see. I mean, my initial gut is to go with an azoxystrobin and propiconazole as a preventative before it ever starts. Because here's one of the things that I always struggled with is knowing like when to put it down. Like I didn't want to put it down too early, and I didn't want to put it down too late. And I think more times than not, I was putting it
Right.
down too late, and that didn't help me out either. So hopefully this year I think I'm just gonna go like I can't remember when exactly, but I think last year I was like, you know what? I don't care what the weather's doing. At the end of April, I'm putting my first preventative app down because the first week of May or the second week of May I can easily just flip a switch and we're in the sauna and it's hot and humid and we're in the prime time of fungus and I'm already behind. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I'm looking forward to seeing the content that rolls out behind that because like I said, I was amazed. If you guys haven't seen that, you got to go check it out. The quick recovery, the almost overnight recovery to make that happen was nothing short of amazing as far as I'm concerned. Kyle just said, Rob, what are your favorite flowers? Kyle, that's almost I feel like you're cornering me right now. You're painting me into a corner. And the only reason why I say that is because I don't have a lot of experience with growing flowers other than dahlias, right? So I love dahlias because they come in so many assorted colors, flavors, sizes, all of that. If I had to pick one, it would be dahlias, but I kind of feel like that's cheating. So I'm going to give you a unique one, right? And it's not really a flower, but it's a bloom of a plant. And I love the blooms on okra. Okra blooms look beautiful. They're amazing. But I am going to be starting a lot of my flowers that almost, I'm going to argue 70% of the flowers that you see in my landscape this year will be started right here behind me in my light setup that you see behind me. So I got these really cool. Well, my wife, she's like, my wife has a problem. Everyone, she has a problem. She has a problem with buying seeds. She cannot stop buying seeds. But I mean, it works out because now I have this huge assortment of different perennials and annuals to plant. And one of the ones that she picked up was these black satin petunias. So I'm gonna grow those. Those look really cool. The nasturtiums that I had last year, those were really cool too. They're edible. I ate one. My wife, she ate one, but when she ate it, there happened to be bugs inside of it. So I'm pretty sure that ruined her experience. She won't be eating them anymore. But yeah, so right now for me it's got to be dahlias, but I mean I grew a lot of zinnias last year as well, but the dahlias definitely stole my heart for sure. Yeah, they I got to follow up to Kyle's question. You two can only pick 3 plants to put in your lawn this year. What 3 are you picking? Well, the first plant. Oh, in my lawn, does the grass count? I
yeah,
just
that's
need to
a
get that
tricky
out the
one,
way.
Aaron.
Right, does my turf count? Because if I can work my turf out, then we got some room to wiggle with. But if the turf doesn't count, then you've pretty much knocked me down to 2 choices. So let me know the stipulations of this 3, and I'll get back at you.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and guess he's talking like more landscaping and garden, so I'll just go ahead and go.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, go for
I
it.
don't know a whole lot of different flowers. I know my wife and I have had really good success with wave petunias. We really love how they spread in the landscaping. It almost becomes like a ground cover. And that we really like those because they do well in direct sunlight and really hot temperatures as well because they bloom throughout the entire year, which is really cool. Um, I like daylilies and tulips, but I'm not really a big fan of bulbs because I like year-round color, and so I don't like, I think they're really pretty flowers, but then they're only there, for the springtime, and then after that they're pretty much done. But I do like daylilies because those continue to flower all throughout the year, or at least they do like two times. At least they at least flower two times. So I'm not sure on the third. He Aaron said other
Yeah,
than grass, he said yeah, veggies, fruit, flowers, shrubs,
yeah,
etc.
yeah. He said, yeah, yeah. I see him. I see him. So for me, it's going to be that's interesting because my plants are going to be edible. I'm going to let you know that right now. So it's going to be a tomato plant of some sort, and then it's going to be patty pan squash. Listen, people, if you like squash, if you like yellow crookneck squash, if you're okay with the texture that comes, because I myself, I used to go down south every single summer. I grew up in the DMV area, Washington D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and every summer I would go down south to spend the summer with my cousins. And being down there, we ate yellow squash all the time. And as a child, I had no idea why. But as now that I'm older, I understand that I was there during the summer and my grandparents gardened. They were farmers, and the thing that was in season was summer squash, yellow summer squash. But I hated like the texture. It would get mushy. I don't care what you do to yellow squash, it usually gets mushy once you cook it. Patty pan squash is a whole nother level of deliciousness and, excuse me, the firmness of that vegetable. It holds its firmness so it's not mushy, and it tastes like butter. So tomatoes, patty pan squash, and I guess the third one at the moment I'd probably go with dahlias. It's a non-edible, but tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes because I mean, who doesn't like tomatoes? And then patty pan squash because those things are delicious.
See, I don't.
um,
We only have 1 year under our belt with growing vegetables, and I'd have to say for my third choice, since I only picked two, I'd have to say tomatoes because I think we lucked out totally this year with our tomato plants because we put those I when we built our raised beds. We put those in, and then when I got all the supplies, I was at Menards getting them, and they had on clearance on their clearance rack these like tiny shriveled tomato plants for like $1. I'm like, it's worth it. Let's just get them. Let's throw them in. Let's see what happens. And I got six of
right.
them. Three of them were I don't remember what the small tomatoes were called, and then three were beefsteak tomatoes. So I was like, all right,
Yeah, you had do you have like a paste tomato or
San.
San
Yes, what were
did
you
you
gonna
have
say?
San
Yes, that's what it
Marizanos
was.
or I believe?
We had
Yeah, I
three of
remember.
those. You remember? You know my garden better than I do. We had three
I
of those,
do.
and then we had three of the beefsteaks. And I was like, well, they're all super cheap. I was like, what's the point? It's worth just getting them. Let's see what happens. And we figured like most of them would die. They all six survived, and like they blew up. Like it was like July and August. They just like I. It's like they were on steroids. They just got so big and they were just throwing out tomatoes because it took them forever to throw tomatoes out, and we were like, well, maybe we won't get anything, or if they do, they're not going to be in time to ripen. But we got plenty that came out, and before our first frost, we probably had, I don't know, maybe half a dozen tomatoes that we picked between the beefsteak and San Marzanos. But then when we were starting to get into the cold temps, we had I don't have the picture ready to go, but we
I
had because
remember.
I made an Instagram post because we had to go out that night, and I was out there with a flashlight cutting them off, like because they were still green, and I was researching like, or what are you supposed to do with green tomatoes, and they can still, yeah, they
Got
can
them.
still ripen, and because
Yeah.
they were plenty big, it's not like
Yep.
they were tiny. We I don't even know. We probably had probably close to 20 pounds, 25 pounds of tomatoes. It was a ton of tomatoes, and we gave some to our neighbors, and we froze a lot of them, and then we just used them in pasta sauce and different things like that. So it was really cool to have that much food come out of something that was just in the ground. I don't know. We thought that was so cool to just have that much food that you could just it was at your disposal. So um,
Right. Yeah, that's the coolest thing about gardening for sure, bro. Who's this? Kyle. He said you need to get some petunias and begonias in your life. I'm not doing begonias this year, but you will see petunias in my life this year because I'm very interested in that kind of like ground cover effect that Ben was talking about. So I'm definitely I'm gonna leverage that for sure. Will Chips and Guac, what's going on, brother? Thank you for being here. Richard, I use hydrotain in my planters and pots and got huge plants. Hydrotain and Bloomplex make for some awesome blooms. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Kyle. I will. I had a conversation with the people over there at Biogel or BioPro, whatever the official name of the company, the overarching company for the umbrella of that whole lineup, and you'll be seeing some of their products on my channel next season. So I'm looking for that. Looking forward to that for sure. He said I started some fuchsias in my yard, and they will bloom from spring to fall. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I know what that is. That sounds very, very familiar. Look, we're talking about hydrotain and
yeah,
bush league lawns. Their flagship channel pop
Ecologel. There you go.
Ecologel. That's right. Ecologel. Yeah, he popped up in the building. I don't know why I was saying BioPro. Why
Because I
did I
think
think
isn't some
BioPro?
of their
I don't know.
liquid fertilizers some isn't it like bio something? Maybe I'm
Yeah, I think that's probably why I got it in my head. But Ben, I love what you did with your like and I think I'll be going live or making a short video about it, maybe something along the lines of like why every lawn care enthusiast should start a garden. And everyone has this portion in their yard, right? Where the grass just does not want to grow properly. It's nothing to do with sand. It has probably more to do with the soil underneath it. And it's in an area that's not right in the line of sight. It's not in the front piece of the yard. And I see people fight and struggle with trying to make grass grow in that specific location. And I gave you a like round of applause when I saw you say, you know what? I'm not even going to struggle with this. I'm not even going to fight with it. I'm going to drop a garden in here, and it's something that you can actually eat. And what's cool is the best part of having a garden in the backyard or on your front porch or in your front yard, if that's your thing, is when you need that thing and it's 5 o'clock in the evening, you got home and you don't feel like going back outside, and you can just go outside to the grocery store to your produce section, harvest it, bring it in, and it tastes 10 times better than anything you could have ever gotten out of the store. That's when it's the most rewarding, hands down, for sure. So if you have an area in your lawn that you've been struggling with, or you don't ever really show it to people just because it leaves much to be desired, I'd consider throwing something in there that you can eat. Just throw a little no dig raised garden bed. You don't even have to go all out like Ben did or like I did. You can do a no dig garden bed like I did for my brother, which takes very minimal tools, very minimal cost, and buy the discount things that look like they're about to die and still get 20 pounds of food like my man Ben here did. So I think that was pretty. I thought that was awesome. I loved your content this year because you literally had to show your ability to adapt. Like a lot of people would have probably just stopped recording in your situation. You didn't. You showed us your flaws. And in the middle of a move in mid-season or at the beginning of the season, kind of, sort of, and and you still crushed it, bro. And then you made some pretty solid choices, and then out of all of that, not knowing much about gardening, you walked away with plenty of tomatoes. So I think that's amazing. You're a testament to what I do and to what I think everyone should be doing. And you still have your beautiful lawn.
well,
Everyone wins,
yeah. I
right?
mean, I appreciate that. That means a lot, and I really do appreciate that. We wanted to have a raised garden bed at our old house, but it just was not feasible. We didn't have a really good spot because the front of our house was south facing, so and we couldn't have a garden out there just with HOA and stuff like that. And there was no really good spot to put a raised garden or anything like that. The backyard was a mountain, it just wasn't doable. And then we had this spot, and my wife was like, "Well, why don't we take these big bushes down and turn that into a raised garden?" I'm like, "All right, let me." I had to I couldn't see the vision, and then I started figuring out how I wanted to do it, because I didn't want it to be like, because it is on a slope a little bit, and I didn't want it to be like holding the ground. I didn't want to be dealing with like retaining walls and those types of things. And the
Yeah, yeah, we know you've had your run
yeah,
with slopes.
if for anybody, if you don't know that video, here's the video where I show where I actually made the those raised garden beds. If anybody wants to check that out. Um, but I made it all out of composite decking and aluminum angle. It was so I shouldn't have to ever really replace any of it, because if it's gonna rot, I don't think none of that's gonna rot. It's more gonna fail before it rots probably. So
Yeah, I don't see that rotting either. And I mean, and things last longer than you would think they would last anyway. The raised garden beds on my front porch, that is just common pine wood that if you wherever you look it up, you'll see that people usually say it only lasts a year and then you can plan on it for it to fail. Well, mine's in still pretty good shape. Let me knock on some wood. So I think it'll make it. If you didn't know, I'm scheduled to move this year, so we could be rolling into next season, and then halfway through next season, I might be doing a jump talk type situation to where all of a sudden I'm at a whole new location because I'm due to PCS. It's time for me to go to a new location. I'm in hopes. I'm hoping that I'm going to end up in Virginia, which is just like 3.5 hours down the road from where I'm at right now. Puts me in a little warmer climate. It doesn't necessarily make me a cool season lawn. It doesn't necessarily make me a warm season lawn because I'm still in the transition zone. So I don't know what kind of grass I'll have, what kind of turf I'll have. I'll kind of just see what's already there, if see if it's 40% grass at the very least, and if it's not, then maybe that's the time where I can look at starting from scratch or something like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it though, man. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see what you're about to do in your garden, uh more so than anything, because I think your garden season, I don't know if you're tracking or not, but your garden season starts before your lawn season,
yeah,
just like mine. So you can have a lot of cool season crops in there, short term cool season crops like radishes, beets, and you could probably even pull some carrots off before you even need to start worrying
I may
about your
need to get
lawn.
hop on a separate call with you to figure out what we're gonna grow, because we need the first thing we need to do, because last year we planted what we could because we were late, and we didn't really have any plan. But this year we definitely don't want to plant as much tomatoes. We want to try to diversify a little bit more. But I know my cousin's been big in gardening. For a lot of for I mean since he's owned a home, and I get a lot of my info from him. But I think I need to hop on a call with you and actually like maybe dabble in what would be a good idea for our area, and obviously what we like and those types of things. That'll be in consideration. But yeah, there's I'm more than just a novice. I'm a little infant when it comes to gardening. I have no idea.
Yeah, bro, I'll hold your hand. I'll walk you through it. I'm actually doing the same thing with Cam at Elevated Lawnscapes. I'm literally walking the dog with him, trying to get his lawn game, his garden ready for next season because he's going to take literally the worst spot in his lawn and he's going to turn it into a garden. That's the conversation that we had. I was like, look, man, just find the worst place in your lawn that still gets at least 6 to 8 hours of sun and turn it into
Yeah.
a raised garden bed. Stop fighting that area and grow something that you can eat. And I mean, it'll go further than you think. So, real quick, Kyle, you said your brother-in-law, who is an EOD specialist, is in Virginia. He was at Fort Bragg in North Carolina until 2 years ago. So that means that your brother is Army. If he's in Virginia, he's either at Fort Lee or Aberdeen, AP Hill. He's at AP Hill, Virginia, which is where I'm trying to go. So I probably know your brother-in-law. I guarantee it's such a small community. If I don't know him and I've met him, I probably have heard of him, whether that's in good light or bad light. And if you tell him who I am, EOD doesn't have very many black people in it. That's just the reality of it. So if you tell him Palmer, Sergeant First Class Palmer, EOD Tech, black guy, he'll probably know me as well. So I'm really interested now. I'm trying to go to AP Hill myself. So that's cool, man. Small world for
Uh,
sure. Yeah, drop some beats, man. Yeah, that's
maybe
some,
I don't know. Like I said, we don't have a ton of space. We have two 4x4 gardens, but I think I'm open. Me and my wife are open and are open to growing anything because I don't think there's many vegetables we don't like. So um, I don't know if this is possible, but I really wanted to try to grow like some corn because I love sweet corn. Um,
uh-huh. I'll tell you, corn in the amount of space that
I
you
would
have,
only
you
be able
can
to grow
do
like
it.
one though.
For one, you can't grow just one corn plant because of how they pollinate. Well, it's not in your best
Sure,
interest to do it. If you were going to do corn, you would probably want to dedicate a whole bed to it. And this is probably some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about when we do our little backdoor chat that I've been doing with Cam. Is I walk you through this process of understanding like, hey, it takes corn 110 days,
yeah,
120 days to mature. So that's a lot of space that you're taking up in your garden for something that you have to wait so long for, where you might, in the best case scenario, get 3 to 4 corns per ear, and let's say, I mean, per stalk, and let's say you put 10 stalks in there. So you waited 3 to 4 months for like it's
sure,
just you gotta really gotta when you're trying to make sure that you maintain growing and that you really want to do it and keep you feeling like you're getting some quick wins underneath your belt to make it worthwhile. I suggest stirring away from crops that also are nutrient hogs too, because corn will literally kill the life. They will drain all the nutrients out of your soil. They need so much nutrients to produce those ears of corn. So not only do they take a long time, but they also pull a lot of nutrients out. Now, I say all of that saying, and still, I'll say all that while at the same time, I grew corn this year, but I gave it a very small space and I did it just to see if I could pull it off in containers. And I did it. And I don't even think I made a full video on it because when it came time to harvest, I just came back from some mission somewhere doing some training exercise. And I ate the corn while I was doing yard work just because I was hungry. And I just ate it because I was cleaning stuff up and I had to get stuff done. So I didn't even film it. It was worth it, but that's when and I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm just going to I'm going to bring these things to surface that most people don't realize that'll make you think twice about actually
sure,
dropping corn in your garden when
sure.
you have limited space.
Well,
Yeah.
man, we're almost an hour into this show. That's crazy. Yeah, we're
Are
at
we? That,
58
that,
minutes. I know 3 to 4 of those minutes were the pre-show, so we still have time. But before we go any further, I wanted to jump into my segment that I just started at the last show, um, called
oh, yeah.
I just started it last show with John Perry. It's called Keyboard Warriors. This was something I thought was just something cool, something fun. But if for all those YouTubers in the chat and maybe the non-YouTubers, you know that there's people that just troll in the YouTube videos. They're either know-it-alls, they're just jerks, they're punks, they're whatever you want to be, or whatever they want to be. But Rob sent me 3 comments that we're gonna dive into. I don't have a lot of trolls, and I don't think Rob does either. Rob, you're too easy. You're
I
too
know.
not easy. You're too nice to troll on, in my opinion. Like I don't your videos. If somebody came in there, people would probably just be like, "Man, what are you doing? You just need to get out of here." But here's the first one. Here we go.
Yeah, to your point, I had to dig deep for these comments. I had a few in mind right off the back that were just the ones that we landed on that kind of when I read them the first time they rubbed me the wrong way. And when I read them again, I realized that this person was still trying to be
Sure.
a little snarky in some type of form. Form. But I always try to stay, you know, I always just try to stay professional or, not starting anything with anyone. But before I answer, before I go over this, one thing I'll give you a caveat. One thing that I do get a lot of usually is like the weird spams. I don't know what the deal is with the weird spams where it looks like, online girls has a
Yeah,
thing for me
yeah,
or
yeah.
something. I get a
There's
lot of
plenty
those
of
every
those.
once in a while. And right. And I couldn't screenshot and send this in because I usually like remove the account so quick, delete and remove and report them so fast. I didn't have any of the show. But that's my little caveat there. Yes, corn uses a lot of nitrogen, and great point, Mark. You can use corn as a natural screen, but most lawn care people, they're not willing to drop corn like in the side of their house plant. And I understand it. I get it. It's cool. So let's,
No,
without
you're
further
you're
ado,
good.
my bad.
So the
Let's get
first
into
comment
it.
was, "Can't believe you were mixing on the trunk of your car. Guess that's better than the kitchen table. Great video showing the differences between different tips. Thank you. I just wish that when anyone makes informational videos, you would leave out the background music. I want to hear what you have to say. Imagine going to school and the teacher has the radio on at the same time they're teaching. You know, I don't. I see it like in. I've read all your responses too because you're super polite, which I try to be too. There's times where sometimes I'm just like I don't want to handle that, so I don't even respond sometimes or whatever. But you're extremely polite. But I can definitely see like the dude's like he's teetering on the I'm trying to be nice, but I'm getting some feedback. I like your comment or your content, but I like sometimes like if people would just say like, "Hey, could you turn the music down?" Absolutely, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate that because some of my earlier videos
Right.
when I didn't have a good mic, like it was awful. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, to your point, it was totally awful. I think the thing that stuck out to me the most in this comment, there was many levels to this comment, right? So it's like, can't believe you were mixing on the trunk of your car. So for me, if you know me, right, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was a materialistic person. In this time, is this point in my life, um I am not. So for me to be mixing on the back of my car and for that to be compared to a kitchen table in the same system was like apple and oranges to me. I was like, it's my car, bro. Like literally birds poop on your car. Like, why wouldn't I just mix this up on the trunk? It's not acid.
yeah,
It's not gonna burn
yeah,
my paint. Like it's just a car to me, right? So that's me. So and then as I finished reading, I was like, oh, then he was like he complimented me on showing the difference between the tips. And then this is where, of course he has opinion on the background music. And to me, I think the background music sets a tone, right? It gets you in this space. Now, particularly in this video, it is probably possible that I did not have my balances dialed in the way that it needed to be to make sure that, it was more of a background noise more than coming in at the same tone. So, as I told him, I appreciated his feedback. I still put background music while I'm talking because I still feel the same way about it. I think from there on, I was very more mindful on making sure that I get those
yeah,
levels as close as possible to just having it in the background, just giving you some type of, because I think that dead silence and noise is annoying to me. I don't think my voice is that cool for you to just listen to straight my voice. I need some type of background music. That's me, right? And I love music. I have a love for music. So I want to lay a track behind me talking to kind of
sure,
put you in the mood that I was in and I recorded it.
yeah,
It's a whole vibe. So that's why I did that. But, this was probably the second or third comment that I got that was kind of
yeah,
passive
yep,
aggressive. It was passive aggressive, but it was still good
yeah,
feedback. You take it in strides, take it with a
exactly,
grain of salt, and you just apply it the best you can as a
yep.
content creator for sure.
All right, well here's the next one. Nice video.
Felicia, hey, how you doing,
Oh,
Felicia?
hey, thanks for tuning in. Here's the next one.
Yeah.
Nice video, but please don't chew gum and speak on camera at the same time. That's really like, I mean, come on, man.
Well, you know what? I couldn't argue with him. I couldn't argue with him on this one because, as you can see in my comment, there's points. Listen, if it was up to me, I'd go back to like my first 20 videos and delete them all because I think they were all trash. I think they were all horrible. But I know that that shows growth, and I know that it shows my beginning, so I just leave them there. So I can't watch most of my earliest videos anymore because I find so many things wrong. I'm
Oh
my worst
yeah,
critic. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to be really hard to hurt my feelings because I promise you, I think worse of myself than you do. That's just how my brain works, and that's how it works for me. So for me, chewing gum while I was on camera, that was a mechanism that I used to keep myself. It was a nerves thing, and speaking for a very long time while I'm on camera because a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, the video might have been 10 minutes long, but I may have recorded
right.
for 2.5 hours, and I was speaking for 2.5 hours. The same reason why I have my nice, delicious hibiscus tea here tonight. I need to sip something to, make sure that the moisture stays up. So nerves, just like being on camera, is what I said. And then I had this issue with my mouth drying out. And I think that had to do with the nerves as well. But this is a comment that was it was an honest comment. The dude got straight to the point. I wouldn't say that
No.
that was passive aggressive. He was straight to the point, but he was being, kind of picky. And but nevertheless, I still appreciated. And what was funny for me was, and that's why I put the laughing face there. He was watching like a video 7 months ago, right? So like the video was super
Yeah.
old, and I was like, "Have you watched any of my new content? Because if you did, you would know I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore." But
I didn't even
needless to
realize, like, you made
say,
a good point. At least he was straight to the point. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't use any profanity or any, like, derogative language or anything like that to, like, make you feel even worse than he could have. So, because there are plenty of those where, like,
right,
they just keep, shoving the dagger in farther and farther.
right. Yeah, he got straight to the accountant. He said, "You nervous? You're a natural, Rob. Listen, I think I do much better at lives because I'm in my little space. I'm in my house. But when I first started recording, being in the middle of a yard, in the middle of a neighborhood, talking to a camera, walking around, trying to keep the energy, and I'm talking to you guys, I was nervous. Yeah, I was definitely nervous. And more so because I'm my worst critic, right? So I knew I was nervous for how I was going to feel about my own video when
Yeah.
I went back and
Yeah.
watched it. So yeah, the nerves were pretty bad, and those were little things that I used to use. I mean, I'll give you another one. In the beginning of my videos, I used to wear a lot of sunglasses. I used to have sunglasses in every other video, and especially if the sun was out, I just made sure that that was an excuse to have sunglasses in. And the reason why I always wore sunglasses was because it was easier for me to talk to the camera, right? Remove those nerves because I could just put some glasses on and just talk. That was like another tactic that I used to kind of calm the nerves down by always wearing sunglasses. Now I rarely have sunglasses in unless I literally can't see, and then like the sun is hurting my eyes and I'll throw them on. But back in the day, I used to wear a set of sunglasses in every video I could, if I could get away with it, just because it was easier for me to talk to the camera and be more myself and give you that authentic transparency that I was going for. So
No, that totally makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, I think, I mean, even for me, there's still plenty of things that I am not ultra comfortable with, and with it's still the getting over the hurdle of talking to a camera outside is always for me. It's still there's still hurdles that I need to cross, and it gets easier the more you do it. But so the next one, the
Right.
last one he sent me was first. Here we go. First, where are you located? What state are and what state and grow zone? Second, get them tomatoes out of that planter box. They will either stunt the growth or take over. Get you one of those grow bags you got sitting on the patio and put your tomatoes and peppers in there. 5 gallon containers, one tomato plant. 5 gallon container can take 2 peppers plants per pot. Save the grow box for herbs, lettuce, other greens, and maybe even those onions. Those tomatoes need space. This is one of your know-it-all people that this like, oh, I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
This guy does not.
yeah.
That's exactly what this is. I've had plenty of those, and when I've had those, all I can do is be like, hey, thanks for the feedback and for the support. That's really all I can say.
So yeah, and I took it. You see, I took it a bit further in my reply to him, and I want to reread this comment because I want to put you in the
Yeah,
mind
go
state I
for it. Go
was
for it.
when I read this comment. Right. So this is how I read it. First, where are you located? Because obviously you were dumb. You were too dumb to put
Yeah.
what your zone is, right? That, like I added all that in my head, right? And then what state in grow zone, because like why wouldn't you do that, you dummy? Like, come on, get it together. Second, get them tomatoes out of that planter box. They will either stunt the growth or take over because you're a retarded first year gardener and you don't know what you're doing. You should just get back to the lawn care game, you stupid, silly lawn care enthusiast. This is how I'm feeling when I'm reading this, right? I'm just being demoralized on each line. Get you one of those grow bags you got sitting on on that patio and put your tomatoes and peppers in there. 5 gallon containers, one tomato plant, 5 gallon container can take two pepper per pot. Save that grow box for herbs, lettuce, and other greens, maybe even those onions. Those tomatoes need space, right? And then, like, I mean, he didn't even comment on the video, and so this was a person that clearly watched the entire video and just like watched it to tear me apart. Like they literally pulled me apart. This is my first garden video, guys. This is me unveiling what I've been working on for the past 2 and 3 months quietly behind the scenes because no one knew that that's what I was doing, other than a few snapshots I slipped out during the season, during on Instagram during the off season. So this guy, he came across extremely aggressive. I try to explain my logic behind what I was doing. I'll tell you this: don't let anyone come into your garden and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. That's your garden. You do whatever you want, however you want, and you learn the way that you want to learn. Now, if you're giving me advice, I'm all for it. But this was probably the most aggressive comment that I'd ever received, and I found it survived. I found it funny that it was actually in a garden video because the garden community seems to be a much more forgiving than the lawn care community most of the time with videos. But needless to say, that guy, I mean, he was first of all, the guy was right. Okay, let's be clear, he was right. I'm going to admit that he was right. And the reason why he was right was because what I thought was a dwarf variety of a tomato ended up not being dwarf. That it was an indeterminate cherry vine tomato that grew way taller than I thought it was going to grow. But here's the kicker on that though. Even though it did stunt their growth because I could compare it to the one that I did have in the container, they still produced and I still got many harvests off those cherry vine tomatoes. But the reason why I would have taken them out wasn't because of their productivity. I would have taken them out because they got so tall that the overhang on my porch, they grew taller. They were going to grow taller than the space I had. So I literally had to top them to stop them from growing. So in hindsight, I wouldn't have put them in the boxes. I don't think I'll ever put anything in the boxes like that. And at the end of the day, if you're watching today, guy, guess what? I'll be using those boxes for nothing but herbs moving forward because you're right, but you didn't have to be as aggressive as you were. I can appreciate you getting straight to the point, but maybe in the future, just add them as suggestions. Maybe you were just concise and direct. Maybe you're one of my military watchers, and we can't help ourselves. We have to be concise and direct
Sure.
when we speak. So maybe that's why you came at me the way that you did. And those are three of the worst comments that I have had on the channel. And like I said, I haven't really gotten beat up too bad. And I think a lot of that has to do with I don't consider myself trying to teach you anything other than sharing what I've learned and what's working for me. And I think when you present and frame information and videos that way, it gives you a lot of play where people won't necessarily judge you for trying to be an expert and just appreciate the content that you're delivering. So, with that being said, it worked out. You said haters crack me up, like you said, Rob. Know it alls, right? Yeah, know it alls. Yeah, you already know what you're doing here, Chief. Right? 100% garden for you. Yeah, man. Don't let anyone come in your garden and tell you. I saw this one YouTuber, gardener specifically, and they were saying, like, if you don't have a nut tree, you don't have a garden. I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, why why would you tell someone that? People just be happy they're trying to grow anything, for sure.
Yeah, I
But
think it
yeah.
seems like
Yeah.
I don't dabble in too much of the garden YouTube channels or community, but I could see how it could be just like anything else. Like people become so prideful and like, oh, you have to achieve this in order to become this. Like I don't know, like and you know that community better than I do because I'm not in it as much as you are. Have you ever interacted with
Right.
like Epic Gardening or what is his name? Epic.
Urban
Yeah.
Epic
Have you ever
Gardening,
interacted with him?
Epic Urban Gardener. Yeah, man, he's a pretty cool, down to earth guy. I've actually communicated with him via DMs on Instagram. He actually responded to a few things of mine, and he kind of gave me a nod on what I was doing. We're not friends. I haven't talked to
Sure.
him on the phone at all, but he definitely acknowledged my presence, which I thought was pretty freaking awesome. Another person who acknowledged my presence was um, the Gangster Gardener. Gosh, I can't remember his name right now. I sent him a link to a video, and not only did he like it, he said, "I like what you're doing, young blood," or something like that. So that was pretty good. Ron Finley, is his name Ron Finley? I think his name is Ron Finley. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The guy out of California who got a ticket for growing food out of his sidewalk because nothing else was growing there. But so the garden community is just as open and relatable and friendly and welcoming as the lawn care community. I think more so. I think a little bit more than the lawn care community, to be honest. And what's been interesting is like watching people on both sides of that sword, both sides of that coin. Lawn care people becoming interested in garden, and then garden people becoming interested in lawn care because of my channel. I think that's amazing. That was never the intent, but simply that I can bring that platform and show you that these two things can coexist. You'll see me. Well, I won't be doing a pre-emergent on my lawn this year. I will be doing it on my neighbor's side plot. Next year, I'll explain it in the video, my reasoning and why I'm not doing that. But I still spray chemical on my lawn when necessary. But I also did the necessary research to find the proper tips to ensure that I don't have a lot of drift when I'm applying, and I'm extremely mindful of that because I have to eat that food, and I think it you growing stuff in your backyard also instills a certain level of discipline for you when you want to eat the stuff out of your backyard. You're a lot more responsible with the applications you make. And you think about the second and third order of effect a lot more than you naturally would if you had no food growing in the back of your yard. So I think it's really cool to merge those roles and make them both coexist in a homeostasis type of way. So yeah, Ron Finley, thanks, babe. That's my wife, everyone. Super Saiyan. She's a huge Super Saiyan fan. Goku is her jam all day. Anime nerd. Yeah, there you go. That's the wife.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as far as what you were saying about being more mindful of what you're putting down, where you're putting it down, especially when you're eating the food. Or the other thing too that I've noticed a lot of people being more mindful of if they know their kids are going to be playing out in the lawn or something like that. That's when
That
people
too.
I've noticed they're very mindful of like, hey, is this kid or pet friendly? And there's some confusion about what kid and pet friendly means and those types of things. And it's
Right.
just all about just educating people and clearing up that unknown for them, so they're not fearful of something that they don't need to be fearful of, and they're just being more educated about the things they use or don't use in their lawn or garden. So
Right. Right. What's this? Long journeys. He said, I had one commenter on me about my mosquito strategy. He knew a lot about mosquitoes and told me numerous times why my strategy was flawed. I believed him, but he was on a mission to let me know. I know, right? Like you could have just passively said, hey bro, you might want to think of XYZ. And I think
yes,
framing has a lot to do with, we're in the world where 90% of the communication we have with people, we don't have to look them in the eye. Even in our military today, I'll let you know this. There's a whole new generation of soldiers that are coming in to where they're not the best communicators
yep,
effectively face to face. They're not really good at it because they don't have to do it a lot. So a lot of times, we call them keyboard warriors or Twitter fingers and whatnot, and it's just because of the culture that we have today, which is why and there's two sides to this to where it plays out well for me. On one side of the coin, it frustrates me when I'm trying to communicate with people that don't know how to communicate and don't know how to be cordial in a conversation and know what tact is, right? But then the other side of that is because it's becoming a lost skill, a lost trade, a lost craft of communicating in person, you actually get a edge on everyone around you by getting up from your desk, walking to the office, having a conversation with the person face to face, then following up with an email, and then showing back up in person the next day. That's how I can get something done in 24 hours that takes you an entire week because I took the time to go and speak with this person. I remembered that this person, their daughter was about to graduate from high school because I went and I had a conversation with them. So, like, now when they see an email come from me, it's just not another email. Oh, that's Palmer, that's Sergeant P. That's whatever they
yeah.
refer to me is Turf, is Rob, whoever it is, because I take that time to interact with you as a person. So remember that. And TT's Urban Pantry's in the building. That's somebody
Oh,
from my
thank you
garden
for
family.
tuning
Thank you for
in.
being here, TT. I appreciate you. Yeah, she's really good at finding like, well, for one, her urban pantry is like a Walmart warehouse, right? She has any and everything you need, all the recipes in the book underneath the moon, and then on top of that, she has a knack for finding these really good deals on China. So if your wives are into China, then or you as a male you're into China, she'll give you some tips on how to get some China for the low, and then of course replace certain pieces within your the different little collections that you have. It's a pretty unique, cool channel. And then every once in a while, she'll show you weird videos of her pup. Like I think she dropped one today about her dog sleeping or snoring or trying to like fight his sleep or something like that. So good people all around.
Well, before we start wrapping up the show, I wanted to give Rob an opportunity to maybe, drop any sort of teasers of what you got coming up this year, or anything you want to, shout out to people to say, hey, go check these out, or go check this person out, or what do you got for the people?
Yeah, no. So this year, I've been dropping hints throughout the. I'll give you a heads up. I'll be having Alan Hain on my show in February. I'll release the date at a later date. The date is set, but I'll release it at a later date. Alan Hain will be coming on the show in February. Keep a lookout for that. I'll also have for the garden community. I consider this to be Alan Hain's equivalent, at least in the community I exist in. It's Led Farmer 73. He'll be coming to the channel. I'll be closing out my little live sessions, interview slash co-host type things that I'm doing over on my channel, probably about mid-February. You're gonna see a lot more garden content building up, taking this out of the winter, just because that's how the season works. But you will see just as much lawn care content this year as well. I have a lot more things that I'll be able to teach people because I'm not a brand new beginner. And when I mean teach, I mean I'm going to show you what's been working for me here where I am. I can't guarantee it's going to work for you where you are, but I can at least show you what I've been doing, some cultural practices I've been picking up. There's some new products you'll see coming to the channel, Ecologel. Thanks to Brandon, I ended up getting in touch with them, and I spoke with them, had a nice chat. You'll see some of their products, but for the most part, you'll still see Simple Lawn Solutions. I am looking for a new granular because unfortunately, we all know, and if you didn't know, Carbon X is pretty much no more. Whatever you see in stock, it will be sold out. Once it's sold out, it's not going to be restocked. So I'm on the hunt for a new granular fertilizer. And then, of course, the biggest thing in my life right now is that I'm on the move. I'm on the move. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I'm on the move. So to give you some hints on that, the first option for me, my first top pick was Virginia. Like I told Kyle, I'm trying to get down to AP Hill if at all possible. If not, another one in the runnings for me is Madrid, Spain. So I'm trying to get. I take Madrid, Spain, and the reason why Madrid, Spain is on my list is because the third on my list is Missouri, where Ben is. But I'm not really
He
trying
doesn't
to go
like
back to
Missouri.
Missouri. I spent time in Missouri. I went to Missouri for basic training, right? And there's no good memories there in Missouri. I don't want to go back to Missouri, but I will. But I figured, if I have to be 12 hours away from my family, then I might as well go to a whole different country, which is why I put Madrid, Spain before Missouri. And of course, there's a fourth and fifth order effect. We shouldn't get down to the bottom of those lists. But if we do, of course, I'll inform you. I'll let you know when I know. It's a hurry up and wait kind of game. But we're still going to be doing gardening. We're still going to be doing lawn care. And then we got to move somewhere in there in the middle. So that's pretty much it. I'll walk the dog on that stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to share. And of course, the most important thing on my channel is, and I say it in my little intro trailer to the channel, is I just want you guys to feel better. When you come to my channel, by the time you leave, I want you to feel a little better. That's it. I put a whole bunch of energy into ensuring that I pick the right track to set the right mood that reflects how I felt at the moment or how I'm feeling while I'm editing that video. And more importantly, it's the vibe, that therapeutic session with me. Just unplug from whatever crazy mess is going on in the world. Catch a vibe with me, even if you don't even like. I'm telling you, check out the garden content, even if you're not in the gardening, because at the very least, I'm sure you'll love the music. And you might learn something. Your wife probably might like it, or your husband might like it if it's vice versa. And then we'll go from there, you know. So that's habla español. No, no. And here's the thing, right? My wife, her mother's side of the family, they're from Honduras, and it's crazy because everyone in their family speaks Spanish except her and her older sister. Everyone else knows how to speak some Spanish except her and her older sister. But no habla español. No, no. But I will learn if I have to. If I can learn German, sprechen Sie Deutsch. If I can learn enough German to get around, order beers, and catch the train, I'll figure out enough Spanish to make it happen. It's not that it's a challenging language; it's that I suck at rolling
Yes,
my
I
tongue.
do. I'm not
So
good at
that's
that
that's
either.
where right. So suck at rolling my tongue, and that's why I kind of just never dug in. You know what language I was really good at though? Latin. I was really good at Latin, but
Yeah.
it's a dead language. So there
Well,
you
you guys can guys can find his information to his channel and Instagram page in the description below. So I hope you guys go check him out if you're not already subscribed to him or following him. Go check him out. I really love Rob's content. He definitely puts out a lot of just unique and original content that I don't feel like any other lawn care creator creates, and he puts his own spin and flavor on it, and that's what makes him him and makes his content great. So go check him out. But I think that's really what we have for tonight, unless you have anything else to throw in there, Rob.
Yeah, parting words. Those of you who have the Turf Therapy app, which is a liquid and granular fertilizer application rate calculator. If you already have it, Thank you for so much for the support. I'm sorry I couldn't make it free, guys. I really wish I could have made it free, but I put my own money into it, my own hard work and dedication into it. I still haven't made my money back from it, but I have about 4,000 users using it. I have a huge update overhaul that's coming to that app. There's a tiny little glitch in the liquid section where it comes to, it'll still give you the proper application rate, but the volume total for some reason is off. Anyway, I'm about to get that fixed. That will be fixed. And I will be merging the journal portion of the calculator, the granular and the liquid. They'll be merging together. There will be one single journal so you can see the total volume of everything. And I'm also going to allow you to add things that aren't fertilizers into the journal at your application rates in times that you did it. There's other free options out there that work just as fine, but if you're interested in it, I'm just letting you know, a huge update and overhaul is coming to that, probably about mid-spring as well. So mid-March, beginning of April, I'll be relaunching that. I'll go live. And thank you for everyone for the support, every comment, every subscriber, every thumbs up, even the thumbs down. The thumbs down, they help. I promise you they do. So thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs down. It's all love as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And thank you, Ben, for having me on here and allowing me to co-host with
Absolutely.
you tonight, brother.
I appreciate having you. And I forgot to mention, you do have that that app. So go and is it's just called Turf Therapy, right?
Just called Turf Therapy. It's in the Google Play Store. It's in Apple Play Store, and just type in Turf Therapy. At this point, there's enough users on it to where it just pops up. So as soon as you put in Turf, it might pop up. You might have to put in Turf and then TH, and it'll pop up. But it's a pretty solid ad. I'm proud of it. I literally made it because I was tired of doing the math. That's why I did it. And then the lovely wife, and then a message in the middle of the night made me turn it into a living thing on the phone, because before I created that app, there was nothing else like it. There was other calculators that would let you do granular in a weird kind of way, but the layout was funky and nothing let you do liquid. And now since I've made the app, there's other options, which I think is really cool. So if it took me making an app to put a fire underneath everyone else to put out their own version of a cool app, I say that that's worth the contribution made to make our community a little better. So I think that's dope. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate, Rob, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's an honor to have you here and just be with the audience and just hanging out and talking. I hope we can actually meet in person one day. That'd be a great thing to do. So I hope all you guys have a great weekend. I hope it's stress-free, and I hope your upcoming week is stress-free as well. And it's just a good one. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Next week we're going to have Matt Martin, the Grass Factor, on the show. So that should be a great show. Looking forward to that. Thanks so much for all you guys tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.